Peace, peace. All right. Let's get into some things. I'm going to be here for 1 hour. Okay. I'll be here for 1 hour and lot to build on. Peace to the God King. Come on, right? Lot to build on, right? That's peace, God. Yeah, I just started the class online, God. Yeah, so I'll let people come in and whatever questions you have, whatever bills you have. I'm gonna get into some things. Probably have to talk about maybe politics a little bit, right, King? You know, certain people mad. You know what I mean? Maybe talk about that too. You know what I mean? The you know, it's very interesting how people will dismiss you for a certain political view, and they don't really know any of the history. So people have political views, and they base it on what they think are the political viewpoints presented by the politicians. The problem with that is that those are always in flux, so those aren't necessarily stable. You know, um, the way that we judge this is better if we understand if we understand the actual political history of the individuals. You know, I had a funny situation here. A certain person I was talking to, you know, and if you brothers out there know what I'm talking about, I was talking to this person, you know, and it was going really good. But when they found out that I didn't vote for Hillary to beat Trump, and I definitely didn't vote for Kamala. And mind you guys, I didn't vote at all in 2016. I just didn't do it. Yeah, school days, yo. It's just too funny not to build on it, man. I gotta build on it because I think it's useful, and I see a lot of hate and vitriol, and I just wanna build on it because we say that we don't deal with a party, but we're going hard. Like if you're going hard either way instead of preparing, then you're doing too much. You know what I mean? I'm gonna build on that, right? And we'll build on other things. Understand that I'm working on a 1 to 10 plus lesson, like a kind of a worksheet. I don't know how it's gonna be. I just started it, but it'll be something. And but with this politics thing and everything and the deportations, first of all, you see what people really think about you when they're like, "Oh, tell me to get all these Latinos out and kick them out and whatever," right? I only care about how our 5% are dealing with that. You know, the 85% of the 85%. When people go things like Latinos, like I saw somebody quote me and say, "What are you talking about? Sunez is in the 5%, so you're not making a point." So I said, well, why are they tagging me in a thing? You know what I mean? But the person that was tagging me was was making the ultimate point that Latinos are just all racist. You know what I mean? And hate black people. You know, and he kept quoting the Spanish phrase, mejero, I forgot, mejero la raza, you know, like I'm saying that beat up, but better the race, you know, where, you know, the lightning of the seed, you know, Yaku's rules and regulations, something that was taught to Latinos in general. But black mejorar, yeah, mejorar. I'm so terrible with that. Thank you. But Latinos are not the only victims of that. Black American history has a long history that is still current to this day of passing for white. Unlike Latinos, they have names that are also easily passing as white American, the last name, so they don't have to change a surname, right? And I even still have some books about passing and stuff that are very recent, 2000, 2010. So this is a thing that this hatred of self, this colorism, the desire to pass, this is something that isn't a Latino thing. It's sadly a thing of original people, and we keep pointing fingers though. We're just wasting time. We're just wasting time, you know? And that's why all these arguments about hip hop and things like that, when you say stuff like, well, they couldn't have done anything in hip hop because they all hate black people, this and that. Those are all irrelevant though. Just like it's all irrelevant when people say, listen, Latinos weren't there in civil rights and stuff, and they didn't do anything for civil rights. And you're here because we did stuff for you guys for civil rights. And again, the majority of people do not engage in movements. I'm going to say that again. The majority of the people affected and oppressed by the society are not the ones that fight against the society. Okay? This is something that runs true and is why we say the 5% of the population. Okay? These are things I've heard everywhere, King. You know what I'm saying? And like that, you sent me this great clip of a Dominican recognizing that Latinos have to do more. And somebody shared that also, and I saw them share it. It's another rapper. There's a rapper that did it. And he was like, see, y'all need to know what we did for y'all. And I'm like, the average person didn't do this for you. The average Black American did not get civil rights for other Black people. The fight for independence from Puerto Rico hasn't been engaged with by the average Puerto Rican. It's only the few. It's only the 5%. This 5% of the population, I mean, that reality is so true in everything else. People fighting for Palestine that are Palestinian, it's only a select few. It isn't everybody. People that write their congressmen, white people, any shade, write their congressmen disagreeing with stuff, that's only a select few. Okay? So when we look at stuff like that, we need to know where it comes from, The mass populace is 85, often living a beast way of life, not knowing the knowledge of themselves or their origin in this world. This is what most of the population has, and the great things that our peoples do are usually, not all the time, but usually small amount of people. Okay, small amount of people. Okay, right. So I would say this first, right? And I saw this, somebody posted this, and word is bond. It was what I was thinking all this time. I listen to news shows, but I don't always speak about politics immediately, because one thing that we're doing wrong in analyzing politics is that we're analyzing immediately. Politics isn't immediate, though. You got to take time to gather the information, test the sources. I'm going to go into that why that's so important. Stuff about, you said New Orleans has a history of that too, and talking about the passing, right? Assimilation, right? All right. King, you said colorism exists heavy in Latino community and different Latin groups, just like different groups within Black communities. I used to feel it due to my complexion growing up. That's right. Jay, you said I met a Dominican brother, Black, saying he is European, not Black. I've heard that too. I've heard that too. And we look down on people when they say stuff like that. But for example, Dominicans are a great example. They're taught this in school. So like, they're just being a good student. I didn't say it was right, but in their minds and their hearts, they're being a good student. King, you said I'm sick of people acting like Puerto Ricans weren't always around, and I'm value Puerto Rican. Nobody made an issue back then because we all had the same oppressor and stuck together. Again, it's like the few, like I would say in hip hop, my experience in hip hop, I saw oppression all the time, or conflict between black and brown, because I was already in the media industry and they were already painting a certain narrative for a long time. So that's why I always saw it differently. I saw that conflict. But I was talking to, somebody, a female, and it was going really great. But when I said I didn't vote for any Democrat or Republican, um, I voted Green Party because I don't bear witness to the two parties. They're done and do devilish, man. And I want something different, and I want my vote to be acknowledged that I am seeking something different, because that's what a vote says. It's your voice, and what my voice is saying is that, and hopefully for the future, it sets up the possibilities. These possibilities that I feel can only be set up though if we set them now. Instead, we're always making excuses for Democrats and Republicans, and we think of things on two poles, right? That didn't work at all. She didn't even care. She would, all of a sudden, a great conversation, and she was interrupting me and say, yeah, whatever. Lesser of two evils is so stupid. Like she was really like starting to bark, and I'm like, it was already over. It was already over for me, because I don't deal with women that start to yell at me. Once they yell at me, it's over. I don't allow that. Especially when I can make my points calm, because women, especially when women know what I can do, if they know I'm a martial artist and stuff, I don't want them nobody having an excuse that I'm violent. So I always keep my temper. I always keep it low. I don't do what I used to do at a young age and stuff. You know what I mean? Where I felt like I needed to make my voice heard because I thought that people would at least let me vent. That's not been the case. So I always keep calm now, you know? Yo, King is stupid. Yo, she was wilding. And I'm gonna tell you on a side thing, right? My experience with politics is actually pretty without being in politics, it has been around a lot of politicians. And I was trying to do the local level when I was in my high school, my early college years. And I immediately saw the underhandedness of politics and how it was all a sham. And I just was like, nah. I was dealing with Latino politicians around my way when I was young, and I lived in Sunset Park, Brooklyn still, where I grew up, right? And I was so disillusioned that I was like, no. And I never voted. I have voted at least 3 times in my life though. And I voted local politicians once. I voted in the last 2 elections, not 2016, 2020, and 2024, right? And I voted Green Party both times, right? In fact, yeah, Green Party both times, right? And if there wasn't a Green Party, I would write down somebody, She was even yelling at me about, I said that both parties are evil. And I said, how could I vote for a Clinton though? The Clintons are the ones that destroyed the Glass-Steagall Act, you know what I mean? Got rid of it, And look that up, the Glass-Steagall Act, right? This is what led to basically corporate raiders and it basically turned and completed the cycle of neoliberalism, which at the time when we were younger, it was called Reaganomics, right? give to the rich, it'll trickle down. One of the aspects of it, though, was right neoliberalism, which is basically conquering the outer world, right, to colonize the world, but also in the form of neo-colonialism. But neoliberalism also meant cutting things here, cutting funds, cutting aid, right? So you see Trump not really, his whole thing about immigrants, but he's not getting criminals. He's rounding up families because here's the immediate reason why. It's harder to find the criminals. It's more action to find the criminals. It's more work. You could round up people that are just working here and maybe didn't renew their visa, things like that, or in the process, he's taking funding away from fugitives that have been vetted for years. Right? I could find that very quickly. That research. Democracy Now! Had 2 interviews with people that run that. So it's all show. It's all dog and pony show. But the major aspect of this, right, is first off, it's embarrassing. I find it embarrassing, and I kept quiet and I just let them go pissed off and end the conversation. And that was it for me with that lady, right? And what's very, very important, right, in to see all this, though, is that we have continued to be led astray by media. We have been led astray by the propaganda of political parties to always pick a side, while both sides do things that are heinous stuff. The things that Trump is doing have really been set up by the Democrats. If you don't see it that way, then you're not looking right. Then you're not doing your research. And you probably never knew how to research. You never did. Like, you never did the research. You know what I mean? The records for deportations is Obama. And I'm not sure if anybody got close to it, it was Biden. So when we start looking at like issues and stuff, especially when they're not what you think, they're not partisan issues. They're not separate issues, like where Republicans see it this way, Democrats see it that way. No, they don't. They see it the same way. They just have different ways of tackling it. You know what I mean? We go, the devil wants to take away things like abortion, right? The Democrats won't do that, but they don't act on it. So they leave it so it can't be acted on. So nothing could be done. While they steadily cut services, though, and they continue to blame others. You know? It really is like that self-help building. It's a really good cop, bad cop stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm going to sit there and let a woman yell at me who's not letting me talk, and then also is yelling at me with babyish viewpoints. Like babyish viewpoints. Like he's evil and he's eviler. I'll give her a baby word for a baby viewpoint. Eviler than anything else we've ever seen in the world and stuff, you know? And I'm trying to think, like, except for the cameras on them, except for the showing of it, it's really of the same nature. And where we would have ended up with anyone else eventually. Okay? I mean, both sides have just been horrendous. We look at things like, well, at least Trump is getting rid of the genders, all these multiple genders and stuff, right? Let's look at that. We're the gods, though. We only deal with male and female. We only know what's right and exact. We don't care about what you think. You could think what you want, but what you think isn't going to be anything scientific we hold to. And that's peace. You do what you're going to do, right? Everybody can have their own identity, right? Especially with how they deal with sexually, because we ain't trying to be with that anyway. They spent years, Democrats spent years pumping that out, giving tutorials in schools and things like that. And then now you just make it like Trump fixed it by just declaring things. You don't fix it like that, because they spent years teaching people these wrong things that we thought was wrong, causing confusion, right? So stop acting like it's a good leadership. You know, all these people that are pro-Trump, he's acting like he's good leadership. Even when he's doing good things that you think are good, is being done all sloppy. Yeah. She was like, "Oh hell yeah. I got It was crazy. It was crazy. You know." And I tell you, man, I was like, "Yo, I'm thankful that I be having these situations with women where I just be as honest and transparent as possible, and they show their true colors as quickly as possible. And this way, I could just finish up and get out. You know what I mean? I don't have to deal with all of this other stuff. This is who you really are. I'm so glad that I didn't spend more time with this, because, you know, it is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Simmer down. You funny self. Yeah. But you know what, though? It's good not to lie. It's good not to try to, keep a front, because that just makes it worse. Like, then you're dealing with somebody that thinks that they could actually yell at you and stuff, you know? Like, let's say if somebody was atrocious and was like telling me like, "Yo, I'm gonna eat pig no matter what," I wouldn't have yelled at her. I'd have been like, use it, yeah, use it 85, I get it though, but I can't really deal with that. I'm gonna let you go, all right? And I've been like that. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you do what you do. You know, I'm it's a nice time we had. Boom. And that's it. Right? So when we deal with stuff, we gotta be grateful that what they disagree with us has been made knowledge born, and vice versa. But listen, there's a book, right? I'm gonna read some of this to you, right? Let's see what we piece of the guy. So, also, Sunez, you know the guard that's up in Binghamton? You sent him 120? What's his name? This is. I'm talking to Sunez. Yeah, he called me the other day. She powerful. Sunez up in Binghamton. Saying I sent him a physical copy of 120? Yeah. I don't remember doing that. If it was a long time ago, I don't remember doing it recently. All right. But he gonna probably give you a call. He in the hospital right now. But he probably will give you a call back. I built one yesterday because he want to give some of his students university flags. So we was building about that. Okay. But he's in the hospital. He tried to call me yesterday, but I was at work and I couldn't take his call. So he billed me the day before yesterday when I cycled. Okay, that's peace, God. Peace. Peace, God. Peace, God. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to read you from this book, right? I'm reading a book by Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi is a journalist. He's done some good things, right? One of the recent things he did is that he's one of the people that got the Twitter files, right? That really showed that Twitter was when Elon Musk took Twitter, he actually, one of the few things, he released how Twitter was being dealt with before he bought it. And it was being dealt with where the government was really doing censorship. They were, what's the word for it though? There's a word for it though, when you post things but it doesn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like all of this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like the censor. Let's just use the word censorship for now. And Matt Taibbi is one of those journalists that did that. So he's got a lot of good stuff. But he has this book called Hate Inc. Right? Let's put that there. I'm just waiting because like it takes a while for like my notes to load. I opened the book, but it's taking a while for the notes to load. All right. So the name of the book is called Hate Inc., like Incorporated, Hate Incorporated, Why Today's Media Makes Us Despise One Another. And this was written in 2019, but I felt it was very relevant. And it basically was spawned out of him trying to update or build off of Manufacturing Consent, by the Juggernaut book by Noam Chomsky. And that's a book worth reading, okay? So let's see. There was something I highlighted here. Okay. Okay, that was a good jewel, but not what I'm looking for. Give me a moment here. All right. So here we go. He said this, though, right? People need to start understanding the news not as the news, but as just an individualized consumer experience, anger just for you. This is not reporting. It's a marketing process designed to create rhetorical addictions and shut any non-consumer's doors in your mind. Okay? This creates more than just pockets of political rancor. It creates masses of media consumers who've been trained to see in only one direction, as if they've been pulled through history on a railroad track with heads fastened in blinders, looking one way. Okay? All right. The reason I mentioned that, and I'll probably leave it there, right? He said this too. When they sell content that's just plain stupid, they have what the TV producer friend of mine calls the "isn't this weird," right, effect. That's the one type of news, right? Like, I don't know, clips on YouTube of capybaras and stuff. You know what I mean? Like weird stuff, weird dumb stuff. But the easiest media product to make is called "this bad thing that just happened is someone else's fault." To make money, we've had to train audiences to consume news in a certain way. We need you anxious, pre-pissed, addicted to conflict. Moreover, we need you to bring a series of assumptions every time you open a paper or turn on your phone, TV, or car radio. Without them, most of what we produce will seem illogical and offensive. One of the things that people aren't noticing, though, is that even as they pick a side, and we're so stuck on picking a side, is that the sides are shifting in the style. The Democrats are so corporate now in emulating the neoliberalism, right, of the Republicans, and not just emulating, but really living it out powerfully, and becoming neoliberalist, okay, that all of the things that they do are not recognized as devilish. A lot of times it's because a lot of things that they do devilish are not visible to the people. They've kept policy or rhetoric appealing to the people or giving or bending toward the people, right? With gender, with other things. Let's be everything. Let's just be this, right? While they cut services and other things and make everything that should be given to you, right? And offered as a society something that you now have to pay for. But it is done subtle. When the Republicans, I said this before the voting, right? My voting special, the one that got deleted by YouTube and got censored by YouTube, proving censorship. And then I was very clever with how I spoke and used code, right? And it was able to get on. Well, what I said in both times, right, which is still there, the second time, was that the parties are shifting. The Democrats always had the populist stylistic candidate, the populist, man of the people. Trump comes along and becomes man of the people because he's what? He's openly calling out things, even if it means that he's a snitch. He calls out devilishment, never gets looked at as like a snitch because he's calling out politicians. Even the while he does the same corporatist things that they do, he's not seen as part of that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I said that the parties are shifting. You're seeing the way that the Democratic Party was appealing is becoming why the Republican Party is appealing. A party of the people, the working class. None of the parties have spoken to the working class for years. Their way of doing it, and it's covered here, and even Matt Taibbi blames himself for being this way. Himself is being for the beer president, the one that you want to have a beer with, the buddy, all in the optics, the visuals, right? Clinton playing the sax. Obama played some basketball, you know what I mean? Right? Hang out with the people, be with the people. This is all that's the media got lost doing, and it shifted. You know, he talks about how it shifted with Trump because the way he was exploiting things was, right, was pointing all that stuff out while he was embracing it, right? But what I'm saying is this. Parties have shifted. Now the assumption is growing and growing. And you're thinking like, no, Trump is racist, this and that. But every time people see him speak, more and more people start to feel that he is speaking for the people. It is a complete sham. He is undercutting funds, he is undercutting things, but it is nothing that Democrats aren't doing and hadn't absolutely done ridiculously during their tenure. It is important, though, that we get beyond parties here and understand what is incorrect about this country and what is incorrect about the oppression and the devilishment that we face. It is important that we more so embrace our idealism of what ought to be and have the strength to build and create what ought to be instead of saying, this is what it is, I'm with my people, and make smaller and smaller ciphers, because that's exactly what is pitched. The entire Hate Inc. book is about Matt Taibbi describing that people will pick their tribes and stick to them and war against them, and they are fueled by the hatred that is being thrown at them. The truth is that a lot of the stuff that's reported will be true in certain respects, and there'll be some truth to it, so even both sides can have it. But this all started when the right wingers started to make more opinionated news shows, blatantly opinionated news shows, instead of guiding you to your opinion, as the news shows once did and had a general view. But the thing that Noam Chomsky always talked about in manufacturing consent was that the political structure always has been about Democrat, Republican having differing opinions, but of a small variation. A small variation that allows you to fight hard for one side, but it's really not that different on both sides. Where they continue to be most important: war, Israel, right? The economy. They are exactly the same. I just find it a joke that I didn't even think about it. I was like, there's no way. I will have an argument. I will argue with somebody joyfully about how I think Wu-Tang is the greatest group of all time. I am not going to have an argument, though, about whether Clinton was a devil, whether the 90s were good times, because I don't know where they lived. You know what I'm saying? That the 90s were good times. 90s was great music, but the 90s was not good times. They were hellish times. If they were good, it's because we made them good. They were hellish times. But I won't argue that. I won't argue whether Hillary Clinton was righteous when, if you look at all her duties, what was she? That led to countless murder and was one of the catapults to having Obama really be the first. Can't say he's the only one now, but the first drone president, where they're killing people, civilians, just out of the blue, without even any manpower, just killing them. You're going to tell me that any president is good? People, even Chappelle, Dave Chappelle said some wonderful things about Jimmy Carter, who passed away, right? And people go, well, he was a good president. No, he was a good philanthropist. Just like Carnegie was, right? And Carnegie gave New York libraries and things like that. They were robber barons, and then when they finish, they do good things for the people, and it looks like they gave some, but he likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing. If they hadn't taken everything, they wouldn't have to have given this back. And then they get credit for giving it to us back. He likes the devil because the devil gives nothing. I know my lessons, and I have my understanding strong about them. Don't need to argue about that. And I'm saying this to you as builders, as creators. Let people have their say on the political matters here. It's very rare that you get time to see what people's heart is. Sometimes you need to see the 85 be 85. Just like when this whole thing with Lord Jamal thought that he could be slick and show his true colors and say stuff about Boricuas and actually have the nerve to mention me, an actual builder, right? I could, the 26 years I've been in this nation, you could take any year from that, and I guarantee you it surpasses the building for this nation that punk has done. But what it did lovely is that all of these righteous brothers showed me that, no, they don't think that I need to defend myself. I can't defend myself. No, it's not about that. So I saw people say, like, well, I don't need to talk about the Sunez thing because he could defend himself. That's you dismissing things. That's you saying, I don't give a shit about Sunez. He could do his own thing. Because you know what? The brothers that were really about it were like, Sunez can defend himself. But that's my brother. And I'm with him right there. I'm right next to him. And it's not going to happen. Right? Because if we were on the street, we would be defending each other 100%. Family. This all shows me who the people family is. This all shows me who's not very intelligent. Who's thinking either or. It's either him or him. If you thought you were slick and say, I'm not Democrat anymore, I'm going Republican, you just flip-flop parties you did not build. I don't care if you got a flag on and stuff. If you think you just flip-flop and say, well, at least he didn't do this. You just flip-flop. You just went to the other side of the same place. Okay? You were in this part, and now you just went to this part. You're still in that part. Right? You are on the left side of the bird, and you slid down to the right side of the bird, and you're still on the bird. Do you want I'm reading this a little bit late? When you say, did they do what they knew only? Can we be mad at anyone who does their best? I don't know what I don't know exactly what you're referring to because I lost the point that where you were saying that. But if it's talking about the politicians, right? There is no politician that certainly that is ignorant. So there's no one that is above that. If we talk about my conversation with this female, they're grown already. I don't have time to start teaching people to not be like, falling for tricks like that. I got way more people I teach, so I don't need to deal with that. I don't need people, and I won't spend time dealing with people that I think they can yell at me and scream at me. You know what I'm saying? Right? So that's a conversation you shouldn't have with grown-ups. You shouldn't be wasting time on Facebook saying, yo, how could you be dealing with Trump like this? And I've seen many posts that say, time to get these Latinos out of there. From some people I know. Man, King, you already know. King, you already know that we did songs with somebody that is saying the most dumbbell shit out there. We did songs with him. We did 2 incredible songs because I love them still with this certain person. And they saying the most dumbbell shit out there. Like, yo, do you know you're being duped? And if you think it's a game to just say this stuff on social media, then you're not even just disrespecting being God, but you're disrespecting being an artist. That, yo, it means something when you say something. You don't just play with people. If you don't mean it, why would you play with people? I don't have time for people like that either. I don't have time to be teaching people like, yo, respect your words. If you think that you could just play around with words like on the Twitter or something like that, or say mean things and say, I don't care about, no, I don't mean, what are you going to do? You can say, I don't mean you, Sunez, you're okay, right? Because if I did that, if I was on the things like, oh, I hope we get these niggers out of here and we throw them out and shit like that, right? That's now cipher. Because where do I get to be somebody else somewhere devilish and it's okay as a joke? It's not okay. It's never okay to be devilish anywhere. Right? So it's like, it's a wonderful thing to see that the tests are showing how many people fail, because I'd rather you fail here than fail out, than me have to fail, see somebody fail while we're in the street and we got to get it on, where we have to be representing us to the fullest and you're flaking on me right at the point of battle. Nah, flake and show your true colors though on this social media. It's a wonderful thing. All the people that was like, yeah, Sunez, you need to, yeah, you know, Puerto Rico's been like that. They need to know their place in this nation. I don't even have to do this though. I don't even got to do that. Right? Just be very careful. See, how are you going to explain this to me when you see me? right? How about you go to your elders, our elders, and explain this devilishment to them? All because we like a title. We get duped for titles, though. The gods deal with knowledge is the foundation. Tell you you're a foundational Black American. Now you're like, yeah, that's right, we're foundational Black American. But look, it's based on it's based on the action that you took and the purpose that you served. So your purpose for the other man's country, because this country is not been yours, it does not identify you. It is not the same as these other flags that are representing a history of a people that fought for independence, as in the Boricua flag. So you better know that if you're wearing this one, what's the meaning behind it? Why are you like, when people see me with this, they're like, man, he represents a low life. Now I turn this is like a low life flag. Know what you're representing. Understand the contradictions. Don't just throw them away and then say, no, I'm this, I'm that. Know what's being pitched here. That if you start saying like, yo, we have to go with the narrative. And you see how it becomes political. Political, you go with the narrative. They told me I'm foundational Black American. That means the foundation to every single thing. That means that, no, we don't need Latinos to help us make anything. No. No one said that. No one has ever said that. Right? We also know that everyone has done things with someone and the influence of someone else. We talk about like people that want to say oppressed people, any kind of oppressed people, Boricua, Black, whoever's oppressed, that they want to say that they did everything without the input of anyone else or the help of anyone else. You're lying to yourself. And I always felt that this was a problem, though. This was a problem. Right? When you study the India and you study the Dalits and you study the way Gandhi dealt with them, the Dalits felt like, listen, they didn't think that Gandhi was racist, though. That was back when he was in South Africa, when he started to get radicalized. It was almost like telling us who the father, Allah the Father was, before he goes to the Korean War. Not even after, not even when he's a Muslim, but like his mentality of what he thought spiritually before he went to the Korean War. That was Gandhi in South Africa. He was a subject of the British Crown. He was like surprised, like, I can't believe that they treat me like they treat them. You know what I mean? I'm a lawyer. I'm dignified. His writings reflected that. But if you stop there, then you didn't see the development, though. The development that you could see physically by him getting rid of the British garb, Indian garb, and then even the Indian garb to just have his own made clothes. Peace of God. Peace. Right? You start to see this kind of development, then you know that you're not judging someone just on that one particular moment, but on a whole spectrum of their reality. Right? Then you make your decisions. Then you study the decisions that's being made. But when we look at all this, people are always being influenced. People are always learning from other people and building. Truth is, nobody did it by themselves. G1, you said it's always good to understand the psychology behind the mind process of the enemy. They probably got this by a Puerto Rican system. All the matters. Probably. Why do they call it people Africans, Puerto Ricans, Dominican, right? And see, the thing is this, right? We really got to get into an education of different original peoples. We have had like a blanket, and if you're younger and you have this way of just teaching one way for all the peoples, and if it doesn't work, like, I'm not saying like, let's say all these different ethnicities, they all speak English, these original people, and so you go all out the same way with all of them, and you're not really, it's not working. That's not enough. You have to know the histories of these different original peoples. You also have to be able to teach the most basic histories of this nation and even this city and even this country to other original peoples. So you have more work to do. You have more work to do. They're going to be harder to teach. What I see is a lot of people admitting vicariously that they failed, and so they have to do it this way. They have to just say, you know what, fuck them, and let me just teach these people. Let me teach the people I know. You know what I mean? That's wild right there to me. But one thing's for sure, though, right? With all this Trump stuff, everything, if you're getting online, if you're wasting time online arguing with somebody, see their colors and just move on. I had great MCs, man, that I know for years, though. Brothers, Latino, Boricua Cuban, one brother. And he's putting up clips, though, when he was at the rally at Madison Square Garden for Trump. And I'm like, I didn't see that coming. But it is what it is, though, because I go, who is the 85? Why am I going to argue, you know? And that's my little girl there. Peace, 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 Alma. How are you doing? I know my daughter's reading. Because she's been so good. There's something that I bought for her. I've got to wait until it comes in the mail. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm just going to mess with you now. But you're going to love it. And but it's not going to come. It's going to take like a couple of weeks, you know. But you're going to absolutely love it, you know. But I couldn't get it shipped faster because it's not one of those Amazon things that's fast, you know. All right. You have a good night, Ama. Papi loves you. All right. All right. We gotta do better with this, though. You know, I saw this post. I should have saved it. It's from a journalist. She didn't like sharing memes, but she shared a really good one. And it was saying the same things I was saying, like, gather the news, gather it, confirm, don't just react to it. Okay, see the plays that's going on. Okay, don't get so hyped up about this or that. Like, you know, when they talk about oh man, I'm forgetting the name of it though. The plan, the special 2025 plan that he's using, right? And he's engaging in all this, right? That plan comes from the Heritage Foundation. Okay, but the Heritage Foundation is a think tank that has been neoliberal think tank that has been affecting Project 25. Thank you, Safago, right? They have been affecting and guiding presidencies, and not just Republican. So people are like, yeah, he follows that, and that comes. People don't even know what the Heritage Foundation is. And if you study back the Heritage Foundation and you follow the devil trail, then you start to realize, wait a minute, every single presidency has followed something given to them by the Heritage Foundation. So it's not like this order of neoliberalism has been happening since the 80s. So it's pretty much the last half century, you know? So again, it's not whoever was going to be in office was going to follow something that the Heritage Foundation was going to give, right? So it is what it is, you know? Peace to God. So instead of getting all hyped up, use it. Use the information. You deal with relationships, find out who's really that. Okay? Because you say, listen, I'm not messing with anybody that messed with Trump. But listen, I was getting yelled at by somebody that wasn't about this Trump thing, is not racist, is the opposite of racist, was good intentioned, but so led by the hate of the media and the propaganda that if you go against, or if you don't even go, it wasn't that I went for Trump, because I definitely never have, but if you don't go against Trump, if you don't hate against it and attack it the way I do, right? That's how they were thinking. If you don't attack the with hatred the way I am attacking with hatred against that hatred, then you are as evil as that. You see? And see, that's what I never have time for. No one will ever tell me how to attack the enemy. You don't even know the enemy the way that we have studied it. Right? There's a great book. I'm gonna tell you guys the name of the. I speak about this book a lot because it's short. My only discretion with the book was that it dismissed the whole idea of the vaccines, because I hate when it goes into health and speaks about it like it's a thing. And it's funny because still Trump, the only thing that he has good going for him is maybe if that cracker RFK will get in there, because RFK is a savage. But as far as dealing with the children, with the Children's Defense Fund, the literature he's brought out that exposed Fauci with massive research, excuse me, the research he's brought out, this regular documented studies, just pulling the studies together. He did not make up the studies, he just compiled them that show what vaccines do. If you guys, I don't want to, people talk about vaccines, but they don't even know the act that Reagan, the Vaccine Act that Reagan passed during his time as president, that absolves and allow that protects all vaccine makers from being sued. In other words, vaccine companies are always liable. Now, tell me something. Do you want a medical product? Do you want a food? Do you want anything that you ingest inside of you? Do you want products, hairsprays, sprays, anything, topical products, air conditioners that use Freon gas, right? Do you want anything that you use from companies that say, listen, if you get hurt with it, you can't touch us? Do you wanna buy anything from a company that if they harm you with their product in any way, you cannot do anything? Well, if you say no and you take vaccines of any kind, then you have gone against what you just said. So this is what we're talking about. People start talking about like vaccines help. So somebody quote something about Benjamin Franklin regretted not giving his children vaccines. Benjamin Franklin? The vaccines that they use now don't even use the actual source germ that they're talking about. And when they do, like a flu vaccine, they're always outdated, so they're never potent. No one's ever done research of their own to see the potency, the lack of potency of vaccines, flu vaccines over the years. So when we start to look at this kind of stuff, we are going to be on one side or another side. We are going to be stuck on one side. If we disagree and we say, listen, I didn't think that forcing people to have a medical procedure. By the way, I talked about the shot, so this video might get taken down anyway, you know, because you're not, again, I get censored here. But who the fuck knows, right? Again, take what you want to take, but do your research. If you disagree with something, understand that the political parties right now are in flux. They are literally switching positions. The left side is where the Republicans are going, and the right side is where the Democrats have already fallen to. They've already become corporatized presidents. They've already become corporate fodder. This is important to look at. And I have to spend time here because it deals with our lessons. He likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing. Doing the knowledge is very, very important. See, G1, you said melting pot of ideas. How could we not be? Like, we're not from any party. We are not for any party. This is why I keep when I do vote, I vote for a third party. I want something different. And nobody's gonna find a candidate that has that has um that has run for president that has done more for people than, let's say, Ralph Nader, because you can't find him. So, I said I would be here for an hour. The hour is already up. Again, I'm developing. If anybody email me, I was really looking through my emails with detail, and there was an email that I had from brothers that were locked down, and I can't find it. I cannot find it. So, if you're watching, if anybody's watching and you emailed me recently and I haven't responded, please forward it to the top of my pile, because I really went through and I think I answered everything. But if there's something that I didn't answer, throw it at the top of the pile so we can build. The book I was talking about neoliberalism, it's a short book, even though I had that disagreement. Invisible Doctrine, The Secret History of Neoliberalism. Quick read. I still say, for its size and being a small book, it's the best immediate, quick history of neoliberalism. Because if you wanted to read about neoliberalism in more detail, as far as a history of the violence that it does to other countries, the best book would be The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. But that's a 600-page book, I mean, I read it, but it'll take you some time. But like Invisible Doctrine is just like 100 pages, and it gives you more of a broad base on the whole thing. Invisible Doctrine, that author is two guys, George Monbiot, Monbiot, George Monbiot, it sounds French, and Peter Hutchison, right? But if you email Sunez, Sunez97 at Gmail, I could get you these books, okay? I have them all to share. And or if you want to buy them, and I could send you the names and everything. But that's it for this time. But again, builds on the 1 to 10 next week, unless something crazy happens, right? That's what I want to build on. I want to build on helping us prove each degree, why certain degrees are there, all of this stuff, what things you should use. Basically going through some of the things that I'm going to put in that little plus lesson. And if I have it written up, then I can offer it. If I don't, I'm still going to build on it. And we'll see how we go there, because the next class session, let's see, it'll be the equality day. So that'll work. All right. So until next time, everybody, I'm going to say peace. All right. And build, but create things, build positive ciphers. Don't just destroy the negativity or bomb. Don't waste your energy, though. Build with the youth, though. If you're on social media, that's not the youth, though. Unless you have like a really, see who you're talking to, okay? Don't waste your time, okay? All right? Peace.